that I try every day to represent the people and the state that I love and that I am so extraordinarily passionate about. I try to do that to the best of my ability. And I know that we disagree. I know we disagree on many issues. But I also know that we agree on more than we often take the time to discuss amongst us. We must remember the things that bring us together, the things that brought us into this room, to come from Ketchikan to South Naknek, to come here to Anchorage, to be part of this conversation. So let's allow it to be that conversation. I welcome those of you who are here for the very first time. I hope it is the beginning of many, many conferences and conventions and an involvement in your state and an involvement in the process, because that makes us all better. We don't all look and think and talk the same, but that's what makes us as good as we are. So thank you for the diversity of thought. Let's make sure that as we share that, we always do so with a level of respect and an appreciation for who one another is. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you. Thank you for the opportunity to try to heal. Appreciate it.
How much time would you like?
I would suggest that you plan to extend the time to at least 3:15 at this time for platform consideration.
First, Mr. Chair, Brian Hove, District 19. I would like to suggest that we accept the apology that was offered in the spirit that came forward and allow the body to move on. To your suggestion, I would move that we extend the time to 3:15. Thank you.
Is there second? Thank you. And I encourage everyone to take the statement that Mr. Hope made first to heart and accept the apologies of those who have offered. We thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. As someone that was directly involved, Jack O'Brien, District 3.
Yes, sir, Jack.
As someone that was involved with the altercation that occurred the other day, I would like to speak to that. I, like any adult, will accept apology. Unfortunately, I think the apologies that are in order fall, far over the purview of just this mere convention. I don't think many of us are seeking apology regarding the behavior here in this room. What we're concerned about is the behavior in the House of Congress and the Senate. The senator's sentiments are well taken, but they don't really fit the context. The way she was speaking, it infers that the disagreements are just simply matters of preference or detail. But we have a senator here who takes an oath to the Constitution like all other representatives, and voting for something like the detention provisions, voting to extend unconstitutional searches and seizures, usurpation of our temporary...
We have a motion pending before the body which is not debatable. You're clearly out of order. Thank you. I would need to ask for a rising vote to extend the time to until 3:15.
The politicians of this country start to apologize for these types of abuses and injustices. There will be no acceptance. There will
rise. Those opposed, please rise. Thank you. We've extended the time. Lieutenant Governor Lehman, proceed.
We are all Americans. We all believe
Sir, consider this to be a formal warning of disrupting the meeting. The delegate is out of order. The delegate is out of order and will be seated. Thank you. Senator Lee. Okay. That brings us to section 4, which is health and family. Are the co-chairman in the room? Could they come up here? If they are, that would be Debbie Jocelyn and David Morgan. Both Debbie and David, longtime Republicans, worked hard, and all the others on this committee did a lot of good work. And there was a lot of good discussion in committee. I had an opportunity to sit in on this committee as well for considerable discussion. Let's give them a big hand for the work they did.
This is Dave Morgan, District 15. I'll let Deb go over the major highlights, mainly because she speaks quicker. But I'd like to thank Mr. Clark from District 1, who does a lot of documentation and medical records, did a really good job in getting all the, we had some very heated discussions. Our subcommittee always does. And it went long and hard, and he basically reported it very well and caught all the changes. But I thought you might want to hit the highlights of the planks, and I'll do the resolutions. Okay?
Did he just call me a fast talker? Okay, well, I'll tell you first of all that I can't read those screens from this distance because my eyesight is not that good anymore. And I cannot remember verbatim the changes that we made. I believe that we, by and large, used the guidance that we got from Lieutenant Governor Lehman. And as David said, we did have some lively debate, but I thought we had a good product that came out of that. And this is the Plank B is new in here under Health and Family, and it addresses the insertion of sexual orientation and transgender identity in the list of protected classes. That was added. There's a lot of debate about C, and we just deleted the words fiscally responsible. Okay. We just changed the order of the different items on the end of C there. We changed it so that access to abortion came after medical care instead of at the end of the list. That was really good. We did work on H and kind of work through it a little bit. And I thought that this was probably the most thorough discussion we've had on this particular subject for many years, and I thought it was really good. Sometimes before it's been kind of a skeleton and fleshed out and included some things that hadn't been before, but it's very good. I guarantee you this is not less conservative, it's more conservative than it's ever been. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the committee that we had. It was always a delight to work with Mr. Morgan, and I appreciate it more his leadership.
Okay, under debate. Ma'am, name?
Tina Chapman, District 19. This is regarding G, the sanctity of life. Oh, thank you so much. I fully endorse the sanctity of life. However, I've been keeping up with it in other states where people are using that type of wording, and it's kind of vague. I would like to make a motion to amend to include not including in vitro fertilization or any type of assisted reproduction, because it's specifically talking about the sanctity of life from the moment of conception, and there is a potential that somebody could do that to where if somebody is doing in vitro fertilization, that they would count that.
Please state an amendment, ma'am.
Just to add to the end.
And where? To the end of which?
Oh, sorry, G.
Yes.
We endorse the Human Life Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Off the last sentence, every legal means to protect the preborn and recognize their worth and personhood, comma, not including assisted reproduction technologies.
Assisted reproduction technology.
Or assisted reproduction even. I just would like to make sure that every baby gets a chance, even the ones that have to, have a little help from outside sources.
Okay. Is there a second?
My second. Mr. Chairman, just for the body's knowledge, there was a big debate about that term preborn versus unborn.
That's not in order. What we're talking about just simply amending. We're working on an amendment here.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have an understanding of what the proposed amendment is? Okay. I believe we have a reasonable understanding of what the issue is, Mr. McKenna.
Do I need to second that?
Oh, we have a second. All right. Is there any further discussion on this item? Yes.
Yeah, Bob Parsons, 23. From what she said and what she wrote is diametrically opposed. She should not have the word "not" in there. If that's my understanding, I'd like her to clarify that.
Please. Do we have ballots to review? Do we have ballot results to review? I don't see her. Where is she? Do we have ballots from the citizens? Do we have ballots counted by the committee? Mr. Burton, could you ask your wife if we have ballots counted?
Yes, I will, sir.
Thank you. Please find out if we have ballots counted. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, report Rick Davies, 18. The amendment should read, "and parenthood to include assisted reproduction," not to include. That's what she said.
Okay. To include assisted reproduction. There you go.
I just want to comment on that a little bit, and that is, adding that phrase, we could go on and on. There's a lot of medical procedures we could talk about, but I just want to say from my perspective, it looks to me like if we just say sanctity of life, that covers the whole gamut. But if you start to list a specific item, you're going to list them all, or else it's going to be determined that maybe we didn't mean all of them. Thank you.
Is there any further debate on this item?
Christine Kurga, District 26. I would speak in opposition to the amendment. Christine Kurga, District 26.
There is no amendment. The amendment's gone.
Okay.
I'm talking to the gentleman behind you. The amendment is gone. She has withdrawn the amendment.
Thank you.
The next gentleman had a different topic.
Paul Dawson, District 34, I was on the committee. There was a discussion about the term preborn. For this is for knowledge for the body when they're really considering this. There was a discussion about the term preborn versus unborn. And one position committee was a medical doctor said that she considered the correct medical term unborn, and then there was a consideration that there was a discussion about the legal term of it, preborn. So you might take that into consideration when
you're making an amendment?
I'm not making an amendment. I'm providing information for the body.
Any other input? Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, Roy Thomas, District 35. I make an amendment to under Section E, after the word adult, that it be added cord blood as well. Very successful stem cell technology that has had successful results as opposed to all of the fetal cell ones, which are abysmal failures and do not respect life. Cord blood is an effective source for fetal stem cells. It's an important issue. It's a place where that technology can move forward with respect.
What would your...
The amendment would be to add.
Why don't you come over and submit it in writing, please?
Yes, sir.
Any other items to consider? Any other items to consider? Ken?
Chairman Ken Kilter-Burton, District 18, co-chair of the Credentials Committee. The co-chair of the Credential Committee reports that they're tabulating their last district, and then they will tabulate all of those with an estimated time of 8 to 10 minutes.
Thank you. So the amendment before us, I'm sure let's state the amendment properly.
Was on E, and if you want to add a question in the sentence. Okay, after adult, we support adult and blood and cord blood stem. Adult and cord blood stem cell. Right. I'm familiar with it, yes. It didn't come up yesterday, but it's valid. Okay, so on Planky, on the last sentence, it would say, however, we support adult and cord blood stem cell research and oppose human cloning.
All in favor of that amendment? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mel Proxy from District 28. 29, okay. All in favor of the amendment as proposed, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Thank you. The amendment passes. Is there any further discussion on the platform components of health and family? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Co-Chairman. That brings us to Section 5. Which is Judiciary, Law, and Crime. Christy Babcock and Dallas Massey helped lead a very lively discussion in that subcommittee. I see Christy coming, and that Dallas guy is hard to miss, but I don't see him. Christy, you want to highlight any changes, additions, deletions?
I'd be happy to. We did have a very, very spirited group. We had about 40 people participating, and there were 6 changes to the claims that were approved. And I'm just going to, is it going to get on the screen? So I'm going to summarize them. I'm letting you have your claims in front of you. Okay, so this was the first one in Section B of the Judiciary, Law, and Crime platform. The committee approved striking the words "first time." Okay, and then we'll just go on to the next one. The next one should be the next. Okay, so this was adding a new plank at the end, adding a new part. We oppose the targeted killing or detention of U.S. citizens without due judicial process. So that was an addition. Hi,
Christine Kirka, District 26. There's just a slight typo to B. I was helping you.
On the first page?
It's supposed to say first time. You're taking up first time, but it's supposed to be sex offenders.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
It just,
Yes, the word sex is supposed to say in before offenders. So we leave sex offenders in, just striking the word first time. So
that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, perfect. Thanks, Christine. She was our secretary and did great. We really did have a wonderful committee. It was very, very lively, but also in good spirit of coming out with that product. So, all right. So next one.
Is that okay? Only because that one came from our district, and the rationale behind changing that originally was to address the issue of situations where you have, first of all, Justin, District 33, sorry. You have situations where teenagers, the guy might be 18 and the girl is like a year younger and they're just over that line. And we didn't think it would be appropriate for someone who was dating somebody who they didn't like the guy dating their daughter, or they didn't like the daughter dating some guy, or that kind of situation where parents could put that type of restriction on somebody for the rest of their life. And so the intent of offering the change was to create a discussion about how to solve that within the law, so that that was specifically something, because there's a difference between some kids dating and there's some guy that breaks into some house and has his way. And that was the point of the amendment originally.
And that discussion did come up, and that's why this was kind of reached as a compromise to, I think, what your district originally proposed, keeping the wording strong, but addressing the concern that your district had had. So, thank you. Okay, so then, could you go on to the next page? About that one? Okay, so the committee as a whole did recommend striking this part of the judiciary platform. It wasn't something everybody agreed with, but it did pass. Hello? Do I have the authority to call it? Or do you do that? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Captain Filter Burton, District 18. I would like some, on the previous change or addition, I would just like some clarification or explanation as to the background and intent of that particular addition, particularly as it pertains to this committee.
And which one did you have a question about?
We oppose the targeted killing or detention of United States citizens. I just like a little bit of background. It's not very clear to me exactly what that intent of that is.
And before we do go on, I want to recognize the co-chair, Dallas Massey from Wasilla. You did great. We were a good team. And then we also had a page, Matthew Swanson, who furiously made copies for us and did a great job. So this was something that had been brought forward by a district, and Candace Frisbee, Blaine Jensen moved that, seconded by Dan Broussas, and I did kind of let them know that if there's something they felt really strongly about, they may need to be prepared to come up and explain it, because I didn't agree with everything we did as a committee. But basically where it came down to, I think what they were thinking was that they wanted to make sure U.S. citizens weren't held without due judicial process. That's what the discussion is centered around. And they were careful to put in the word U.S. Originally, the language they talked about was just the detention of citizens without due judicial process. Throughout discussion, the words U.S. was added. And then in a totally different motion, the word targeted killing was added. And I can't give you much background. I think the words speak for themselves, so I guess you could speak for or against the words, but the words have to speak for themselves.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Rick Davies, District 18. My assumption is that this is targeted at
an American citizen who was overseas and a stated enemy to the United States, who has committed and spoken freely globally, and he supports the enemies to the United States and is actively involved in killing and maiming not only Americans in the United States, but also defending our country and other countries. So my assumption is that's what you're trying to say, that you oppose the killing of an American citizen, even though they are devout enemies of the United States and are actively engaged in the murder of American citizens.
I don't think that's not what the discussion centered around. The discussion centered around keeping the due judicial process available for U.S. citizens.
My name is Camille Gomez from District 5, Fairbanks, Alaska. I just want to talk about this a little bit, if I'm allowed. My father was, when I was a kid, he was kidnapped by the army and tortured for a few weeks. And that affected our family very much just because he was a landowner and the government had intention to take their land and we paid almost nothing. And recently, was passed a law that unfortunately our delegation in Congress approved that allows the federal government to detain any American citizen.
Would you like to make a motion relative to the report, sir?
No, I just would like to support that because they can't detain any American citizen.
Okay, thank you.
Zillian Simmons, District 11, and do we have a motion on the floor, or do we have to speak?
I'm looking for a motion to amend. We have a motion of the report. My question was, do you have an amendment? I'm sorry, I misspoke.
I have I don't know what to call it, a point of interest or a question regarding hooking some of these together that confused me. And it jumps back just a little bit, but it's all tied in family and health and judiciary. Under family and health on F, it says people have worth regardless of their age or ability. We support measures that maintain individual freedom of choice in health care. Now wait a minute, this is all going to tie in.
Well, make your point swiftly.
Okay, well, it's a long thing because it got jumped over. Individuals have the right and responsibility to decide, direct, control their own health. And then we go on to we support criminal punishment for certain capital punishment. So my point is, and I do support capital punishment, but we are contradicting ourselves several times. In one we say we can't withhold food and water. In the other we say we have a choice for food and water. In one we say we respect every life. And then in the other one we say we support capital punishment. And I'm not amending or changing. I just want to point out all the conflicts there.
Thank you.
My name is Steve Knowles, District 19. I'd like to speak in support of the new sections before us, and I think it would just be prudent for everybody here as Americans to look at ourselves and decide whether we as people are going to be supporting the killing of other individuals without due process, or if we are if that's something that we as a people are going to support, that we can't, we're not going to be killing people or jailing people or anything without due process, that every person as a United States citizen has the right to the judicial process.
Thank you.
I'm from District 33. I just wanted to speak real quickly to this because this actually came out of my committee in Ketchikan, where actually I was the one that had proposed it and how it all got here in the first place. So the person that had some questions about where it would originate, I would like to clarify that this comes directly in response to statements from Eric Holder, who said that when we gave them a process, they don't need a trial. And I'm just not okay with living in America that's under that design. So we wanted to reaffirm through the party planks that everybody is entitled to their day in court, period.
You're not helping the process. Self-minded.
Ron Johnson, District 11. I was on this committee. This was kind of a two-pronged statement. We started out originally detention of a United States citizen. If everybody's aware that there was just a recent law passed in our Congress that if the government deems you a terrorist, and if you look at the Justice Department's list of potential terrorists, every one of us are probably, as conservative Republicans, could fit on that list. And if we fit on that list, our government has the right to detain us without due process. This is a statement that says our government cannot detain us without due process.
For no demonstration. Knock it off. You're wasting time. Now, I would like to ask the consent of the body to do something very special. We have an amateur photographer outside, and without objection, I would like to invite the photographer in to take some shots of the body with a camera. Without objection, we'll bring the photographer in. Thank you.
Because our committee did deal with several controversial things, rather than move the whole report, there's six items. We've only gotten to about 2 of them. So there are 2 that we've talked about so far. One is the one that's before us now. So can we vote just on that one particular one?
Stop for a minute, give people a chance to talk.
We will continue, we will limit our comments to this item and try to move this plank by itself, and we will continue with dialogue going across and then coming back across.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Steve Shepard, District 16. I was on the committee that approved this, and I just wanted to point out that the focus here is due process, and I'd urge everyone here to take Don Young's comments to heart, that they can come after any of you someday, right? There's a lot of well-known verbiage about first they came for the Jews, then they came for the Catholics. When they came for me, there was nobody left to stand up. This is about due process. U.S. citizens are entitled to it from the Constitution. If you're a constitutionalist, you need to support this. Thank you.
2 more comments, preferably one from each side.
Mr. Chairman, Pam Massey from...
For Judy Elledge or Russ Miller. For Vice Chair. And while we would be looking at a plurality process, this is the final vote, because there will be not an opportunity to continue to vote beyond this. Edna Reeves, Debbie Brown, Edgar Lytle, for 3 for Vice Chair. For National Committee Man, Ralph Seekins. For David Eastman, National Committee Woman, Debbie Jocelyn or Pam Good. Let me repeat those. Elledge Millick for Chair. Gervais Brown, Lytle for Vice Chair. Seekins or Eastman for Committee Man. Jocelyn or Good for Committee Woman. You have 9 names for 4 slots. There is no prospective way that we will have another ballot. We will have 3 clear-cut winners by majority.
Mr. Chairman, point of personal privilege, Bruce Felty, District 21. I've learned that my good friend and former Vice Chair, Edgar Lytle, is still in the race for Vice Chair of the party, and I wholeheartedly endorse him. I encourage those who voted for me to do so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, point of information, please. Dave McGraw, District 9.
Yes.
Owing to the fact that so many simply request for informational purposes what the total numbers are of delegates whenever this comes back from the canvassing committee.
The canvassing committee, in its report, will confirm how many ballots were distributed and returned and voted. And that will probably happen well after we are mandatorily out of this room. We cannot proceed, Chairman Roberts.
Mr. Chairman.
We have ballots on the floor. Thank you, Bonnie. We've been friends for a long time. We've not always been on the same side. It's very special for making that comment. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair.
We are voting. We're at an at-ease to vote, and I will not take any comments for the time being.
This is just a point of information. Voting on one ballot for 4 positions.
You're voting for 4, not 2. I went through that very carefully.
Well, we were told that we were only voting 2 from the person that was standing.
You're mumbling. It's 4 votes. Okay, everybody stand up.
I was trying to, we were told by the person handing us the ballot.
I would appreciate you. If you believe you're voting for 4 people on this ballot, please be seated. If you believe you're voting for a different number, explain why you're still standing. Is it clear that we're voting for 4? that we indicted earlier today. They are our delegates, our alternates, and our alternate alternates. The committee meeting will commence across the hall. I want every one of you to go there. As far as I can see, from a proper process standpoint, the alternates and delegates will do the electing of folks for the 9 positions for the delegation to go to Tampa. The alternates, I want them to attend, to be part of the delegation, because statistically, I think you will all wind up, a high percentage, let's not say all, 85% of you will wind up in Tampa due to cancellations. So, starting with the ballots are clear the floor, I want you to go across the hall and have your delegate meeting. Is that clear?
Mr. Chairman, point of clarification. District 11. I believe it is only the delegates that elect the chairman.
Okay. I believe the man is right. The delegates participate in electing the chairman of the delegation and the committee members. But I do want all of the alternates, without question, to go, because you need to hear some things, learn some things, and get your mind engaged in being part of this process. And I really believe the alternates are as important, because our mission is to send 48 people to Tampa, not 42 or some other fanciful number. We want to send everybody that is a member of the delegation to Tampa. So when we get the ballots off the floor, you are officially excused to go to that meeting, whatever that is. Across the hall. King Salmon Room. Okay. Go to the King Salmon Room. I've been advised that the proper location for your convening is the King Salmon Room. Or do we still have delegates? Do we have ballots on the floor? Do we have ballots on the floor? Are your ballots collected? Are your ballots collected? Are your ballots in? Are your ballots in? District 16, are your ballots in? That's what you're trying. Okay. Are all your ballots in? Are all your ballots in? Does anyone know the ballot left in this room? Bruce, could you go across the hall and confirm that the Credentials Committee believes they have their ballots? Yes. You think you will adjourn? Yes. Okay. At this time, I'm going to release the delegates to go across the hall. Considering the time of day, the situation that we have in terms of having to clear this space, I'm asking to adjourn this convention today to the first meeting of the full Central Committee in June. That date will be set momentarily by the Central Committee and is meeting after the session, so that we can transact whatever resolutions are left, which I think are appropriate to be dealt with. And I thank you for your assistance. I'm sorry, the platform. Okay, everything that's adopted is done. Okay, let me finish. We have deleted one line from that. We have, the clock has expired. We've not extended the clock. I regret that that is the situation we have. I thank you for participating, and we will defer all of the resolutions to the Central Committee meeting that would be somewhere in the first half of June, because we need to meet from a Central Committee standpoint to address redistricting issues for some districts to reorganize, and we need to address these items.
Chair?
And sir, the other important detail, we need to be in session to announce the results of the election that we just had. We will announce those official results at a June meeting. Stay here until 9 o'clock to get that count. We will announce the results late tonight, but your people are on the Credentials Committee. This is a straightforward process. We're just trying to do real work to get it done. And we will announce it with the parliamentarian appointment that it must be announced formally to this session, and we must be out of this room now in essentially 16 minutes.
Chair, Lance Roberts, District 5, and Rules Chair, Co-Rules Chair. We still haven't done any of the rules, and those have to be approved at the state convention. And
there's no time to do those, I'm sorry.
Well, we had a plan to whip through them quick, but 15 minutes. If we could suspend the rules and go till 6.
There's no way. We must be out of this building between 5:20 and 5:30. Thank you very much. I appreciate your participation.
We have a backup facility across the street because we were prepared for our own convention. I believe it's still available. It's right across the street. And we could continue this session in another space. Not quite as pretty as